John Solomon, the Obamacare secret at the heart of the shutdown. Insurers made billions at taxpayer expense. This is on justthenews.com. So let's take a look at this article. The Obamacare secret at the heart of the shutdown. Insurers made billions at the expense of taxpayers. The 42-day federal shutdown forced by Democrats thrust the economics of Obamacare into the limelight and exposed an uncomfortable truth. An insurance industry whose executives are increasingly liberal donors has seen its earnings soar with the injection of taxpayer-funded subsidies that propped up Barack Obama's signature health program from collapse. The nation's largest health insurance companies have seen good business since Obamacare was first passed in 2010. Okay, all right, so I'll quit saying 2009. I'm sure that was probably when they wrote up the legislation, but it was officially passed in 2010. So, and it was fully implemented in 2014. This has come in no small part because of federal government subsidies to the insurance industry, which government estimates show totaled $1.8 trillion in 2023 alone. Holy shit. All right, hold on. They've got a link to this, so I'll link that in the description. They're going to break down the details. Federal subsidies for health insurance 2023 to 2033. Federal subsidies for health insurance are estimated to be 1.8 trillion or 7% of gross domestic product. Oh my God, dude. Obamacare, it consumes 7% of our gross domestic product as far as the financials as far as financials go. So in CBO and JCT's projections, those net subsidies reached 3.3 trillion or 8.3% of GDP in 2023. Dude, this is a fucking catastrophe. Okay, so these subsidies were greatly expanded by the Biden administration during the COVID-19 pandemic as an emergency measure, but Democrats have fought to keep them permanent. It is ridiculous, dude, to permanently subsidize something. Dude, if you have to subsidize a government program, it already failed. It's a failure because you're essentially stealing money from taxpayers to prop up a system that desperately needs to keep funding because if you don't throw any subsidies at it, it will collapse. That is a failure of a program. This is unbelievable, man. A Just the News analysis of public financial records from 4 of the nation's largest health insurance companies found that net earnings ballooned about 216% from 2010 to 2024. United Health Group, in particular, which dominates the industry with a market share of around 15%, saw the largest explosion of profits, not revenue, not costs, not intake of earnings or whatever you want to call it, straight up profits. The other 3 companies, Elevance, Centene, and Cigna, also experienced a marked growth in net earnings after the implementation of Obamacare. See, that's what happens when you allow the government to take over the insurance industry because they just write blank checks. There's really, of course there's regulation, but there's not really any real accountability. They just write blank checks. And as a result, the cost of healthcare explodes. It gets absolutely insane. So I bet it probably wouldn't take a whole lot of effort for Congress to drastically reduce the cost of healthcare. Probably. Like the reference I keep throwing out, $8,000 to get a CT scan if you're in the emergency room. Congress, now I'm not saying like price fixing or anything. I don't know how exactly they would do it, but I'm sure they'd be able to get that thing reduced down to like, I don't know, $1,500 or something like that, which is even that is on the high end, but it's not hyperinflated like it is now. So one study found the weighted average of health insurance stock prices has grown 1,032% from 2010 when the law was passed, and 448% from 2013, the year the legislation's key provisions were implemented. Dude, this is so fucking criminal. This performance far outstripped the most popular S&P 500 exchange-traded fund, which grew 251%, 139% respectively, the Paragon Health Institute reported last year. ETFs are designed to track the performance of specific stock indices and, as such, generally represent average market growth. So what do we have here? So in the blue, that's United Healthcare. And then let's see, Elevance is in the red, Centene is in the yellow, and Cigna is in the green. Absolutely insane, dude. Oh my God. Wasn't the CEO who was assassinated? Wasn't he the United Healthcare CEO? I mean, I just find that to be interesting. I'm just pointing that out. Anyway, the company's earnings success has drawn the attention of President Trump, who on Sunday called Obamacare a scam by Democrats that benefits the health insurance industry. Obviously, it benefits the industry. We're talking 1,000% increase in, well, I don't think that was strictly speaking profits, though, was it? No, the stock prices. Stock prices ballooning up over 1,000% since Obamacare. It's fucking insane. All right, so, quote, Democrats claim to be working for, quote, unquote, the little guy and driving down your health insurance. But the Obamacare scam goes straight to their best friends in the insurance industry. They are making a killing, while health coverage only gets worse, Trump posted to Truth Social. If, quote, if Democrats get their way again, they're in for another huge payday at the expense of the American people. No deal. Republicans should give money directly to your personal health savings accounts that I expanded in our great big beautiful bill, Trump added. In recent years, individuals and PACs associated with these four health insurance companies have increasingly donated to Democratic presidential candidates, namely Biden and his Vice President Kamala Harris, whose administration expanded Obamacare subsidies while contributing at much lower rates to candidate Trump. How interesting. The 2024 election illustrates this trend. Individuals associated with the United Health Group contributed a total of $742,271 to Kamala Harris's campaign in 2024, which dwarfed the $158,000 received by the Trump campaign. How interesting. Individuals associated with Centene contributed almost $250,000 to Harris and only $22,000 to Donald Trump. Individuals associated with Cigna sent over $250,000 to Harris's campaign compared to just $99,000, just shy of $100,000 to Donald Trump's campaign. The only exception appears to be Elevance, which the records show did not make federal contributions in the 2024 cycle, according to Open Secrets. Now, where was Elevance in that graph? So Elevance was the red, right? Okay, so yeah, it was number 2 as far as on its height on the graph. All right, so let's see, where did I go? Okay, yeah, so here we go. So in earnings projections and investor calls, the insurance companies admit that fading subsidies would have a big impact on their bottom line. They have told their investors about plans to raise premiums on Obamacare plans and even exit markets to preserve their profit margins, showing how dependent the large companies have become on the government-backed exchanges. So in other words, if the Obamacare subsidies are going away, they're not going to let their bottom line get affected by it. So they're just going to double everybody's cost for health insurance instead of taking a hit on their bottom line. It's not even taking a hit because Obamacare, that monstrosity, should have never passed in the first place. Health insurance was, look, it wasn't perfect in the 2000s, but it sure as hell was 10 times better than it is right now. So in the grand scheme of things, their profit margins shouldn't be any different than they were back in 2010. But they are substantially better. And just, I don't know, man. I just hope that Republicans and Democrats work out a deal that really gets things back on track to where they were before this Obamacare freaking catastrophe happened. United Healthcare Group CEO Tim Noel told investors in an October 28th earnings call that if his company could not negotiate sustainable rates, it would withdraw from markets and raise rates. Dude, they're so evil. He estimated that these efforts would likely result in 2/3 of its Obamacare customers dropping enrollment. How do you like that, man? You're spending hundreds of dollars a month for this health insurance, which keeps going up year after year after year. And, you know, once the government decides to change course and try to give a little bit of reason and stability and affordability back to the American people, they're just going to start dropping everybody. Absolutely insane. Where we are able or unable to reach agreement on sustainable rates, we are enacting targeted service area reductions, Noel told investors. We believe these actions will establish a sustainable premium base, while likely reducing our ACA enrollment by approximately 2/3. Elevance, an Indianapolis-based insurance company, also cut its 2025 earnings guidance in July after increased healthcare utilization surged costs in government-backed programs, including both ACA markets and Medicare Advantage. Centene also pulled its guidance for investors, seeing market difficulty on the horizon. The four companies did not respond to email requests for comment. Of course they didn't. Let's see. It is a form of corruption. It is a form of corporate welfare to very profitable insurance companies, and it has to stop. Rep. Marionette Miller Meeks, a Republican from Iowa, told Just the News on Monday. More importantly, it doesn't bring health care costs down. It may make it more affordable for one person, but it doesn't have any incentive for the insurance companies to bring down healthcare costs. So all you're doing is that you're continuing ratcheting up premiums because the insurance companies are getting directly subsidized by the taxpayers. And that's what's most appalling about this, is that these subsidies are coming directly from you and me, from working American taxpayers. The Obamacare insurance exchanges also, you know what? And by the way, the fact that they're subsidizing healthcare, they're essentially double dipping into each one of us. All of us who have health insurance, most of us have health insurance. So they're taking money from our taxes to pay for our health insurance, while they're also making us pay hundreds of dollars a month for our health insurance. That's exactly what they're doing. Anyway, about a third of all subsidized Obamacare health plans go unused by the insured, meaning that these plans translate into pure profits for the health insurance companies, completely at the expense of the American taxpayer. Yeah, I mean, if you don't use your health insurance, it is pure profit for them. During the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, President Joe Biden signed into law a bill that enhanced the Obamacare subsidies broadly as an emergency measure, which opened the door for such over-coverage. It also raised the qualifying income cap for the tax credits to 400% of the poverty level, or $128,000 for a family of four. Good grief. It's just absolutely ridiculous, man. Look, to be fair, Obamacare, it was already insane before COVID even started. But I can only imagine how much worse that it's gotten since then. Quote, these are not about the ACA subsidies, just like the original Obamacare subsidies don't expire. Rep. Dusty Johnson, Republican South Dakota, told John Solomon Reports podcast, this is about the COVID-era tax credits that layer on top of that. And the tax credits don't go to Americans, they go directly to insurance companies. He said many people can get free policies through these pancaking layered tax credits, and some people don't even realize they're double covered because of deceptive sales tactics. 40% of these policies have never had a single claim applied to them. It's amazing. It shows that these are phantom policies. People aren't using them. They aren't making Americans healthier. Instead, they are just checks written to the insurance companies. So anyway, let me see how much more. All right, so it doesn't go much further. All right, I can wrap this up. So the expansion often resulted in federal taxpayers footing the bill for all or nearly all premium costs for silver and bronze plans, as well as gold plans, the Paragon Institute concluded. Bronze, silver, and gold describe increasing levels of insurance plans that decrease deductible costs at lower cost sharing as you climb the rungs. 35% of enrollees never file a claim. Large insurers benefit greatly from phantom enrollment as they collect billions of dollars in taxpayer funds to cover individuals who cost them nothing, wrote Nicholas Kleinworth, Liam Sigod, and John Graham in a Paragon Health Institute policy brief last month. The data shows that nearly 12 million enrollees, about 35% of all people enrolled in the Obamacare exchange, are actually zero-claim enrollees. This means that their health coverage did not translate into actual health care. Paragon found that the average profile of these enrollees is someone who is healthy and likely does not need full coverage for care. Additionally, the researchers identified worrying data that many were enrolled in full coverage without their knowledge, raising fraud concerns and leaving taxpayers to pick up the tab. But what caused this pattern of pervasive incentives? The expanded Obamacare subsidies that are now at risk due to government shutdown, the researchers say. Quote, our analysis shows that these enrollees are not just healthy enrollees with no need for care. They are part of a larger story about how Biden COVID credits are driving perverse incentives, the Paragon authors wrote. Wow, man. Absolutely ridiculous. So ridiculous, dude. Wow, man. All right. So, of course, that'll be linked below. I know that there were a bunch of different links that were in this article that they highlight. So if you want to get further into it, there's plenty of sub articles that they link to if you want to check that out further. But just absolutely mind-boggling, dude.
If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Check out The Swamp, Monday through Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern, with segments dropping on the daily. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.